healing people pleasing. I had a friend that had a narcissistic mother. And narcissistic mothers can show up differently for different people, but there are some things that are very common. And so historically, narcissistic mothers are um, they don't allow their daughters to individuate a lot of times. So they're engulfing to their daughters. If not outright neglectful, then they are trying to totally control everything about their daughters. Um, and they don't allow their daughters to individuate, which means to be able to form their own thoughts, opinions, to have the space to feel their own feelings. A narcissistic mother wants her daughters to have the same thoughts and the same feelings that she has. And so they view their daughter as just an extension of themselves, instead of viewing the daughter as a separate individual. So if you're growing up with a healthy mother, then the healthy mother is going to celebrate your individuality. It's going to celebrate your uniqueness. Even in the ways that you're different than her, she's going to be able to commend you for having a voice, for speaking up. It's natural for very, very young children to display some disagreeable tendencies. They will have their temper tantrums, they will cry, right? For narcissists, as soon as they can train their children out of this disagreeability, the better, because they don't do well with this individuation of this child having a difference of feelings than what they have. And they find this very burdensome. And so they raise their children to feel like they are in debt to the parents. So you're new to the world, and then you're raised to believe, hey, you need to be really grateful because I dropped out of college in order to have you or to raise you, or I had to give up a really good job in order to have you or to raise you. And so there you are, this newly born human, and you're just like, oh, okay. I'm sorry. Am I a burden? And that's how you start life is you're a burden and you're taking up extra space and extra resources. And so instead of realizing that you're special and that you're a gift and you're a blessing, you're getting the wrong information about yourself from the very beginning, which is that you owe us. And so all of these things, the stifling of your individual thought, the stifling of your disagreeability, the stifling of your independence, the stifling of your ability to feel worth and value as being yourself. All of that leads a child to be more prone to falling into the trap of people pleasing. And people pleasing is definitely a trap. It can appear to us, especially as children, that all of these other people around us are more important because they're more powerful. And so we focus so much on the power of the people around us, the power to punish us, the power to take away things from us, the power to hurt us, even our own siblings who may feel like they're more powerful. Maybe they have a position of being favorited. Maybe they're the golden child in the family. Maybe it's just that they don't mind being mean to you or getting in a fight with you or yelling and screaming or harming you. And so we can even fear our own siblings growing up in our household. And so, with this constant state of fear of other people and what they may do, we have to lock into a mode of survival. So, the survival response that comes pre programmed in a child's mind and stays with us for life is the fight, flight, freeze. Those are trauma responses. You have fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, right? So, what commonly is gone to as a trauma response is fawning. And fawning is your tendency to prioritize everyone above yourself or whoever the person you're seeing as a danger above yourself. The fawn response is trying to seem like not a threat, trying to not rock the boat, trying to go with the flow, trying to even help or appease the person who is creating the danger in the situation. Does that make sense? So you're saying, okay, they're the squeaky wheel, so they're going to get the oil, and that's your fawn response. Your way of surviving is to become a friend to your enemy. Your way of surviving is to become a friend to your enemy. And so, left unchecked, this fawn response metastasizes into what we know as people pleasing. And so, this friend of mine, whenever she would walk into work, she's just like really concerned about how everyone else is feeling, especially about her. So she's just like, hi, super nice. Hey, is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything I can get for you? And someone's like, oh, I forgot my lunch. You want me to go out and buy you lunch right now? You want me to go and get you something? Right. And she's trying to do the most to make sure everyone else is happy. Does that make sense? And that's what people pleasing is. We've taken that fawn response and it's become a way of a life. In your household growing up, that was your way of survival. So understand where it comes from. If you mom and dad weren't happy, if that caregiver, that powerful caregiver wasn't happy, ooh, it was hell to pay. So you thought, oh my goodness, I have to make sure they stay happy. So I'm going to people please and I'm going to high achieve. I'm just going to make sure I do everything to keep them happy. And in your childhood mind, you think that it's possible to make someone else happy. And your parents can see that this is a great tool to control you. So they continue to exacerbate the problem by allowing you to believe or even making you believe that if you stay on that hamster wheel of trying to make me happy, maybe one day I will be happy. Or occasionally I'll show you that I'm appeased, and then you can have 3 minutes of a life to yourself. For my friend, she had to constantly be doing chores or homework or babysitting the other siblings. There's always something to stay busy and occupied making sure mom's not upset. Doesn't matter that her siblings are her mother's children. No, it's her responsibility to care for her younger siblings because she's the older one. And that's the way that you're raised in the system, the cult that is a family with a narcissistic parent. It is a coercive cult. There is a leader, and the charismatic leader expects that everyone falls in line with how they feel. You can feel the energy shift when they walk in the house. You remember that? When they're not home, it's like, oh, I feel okay. I feel good. I feel like I can play. I can be myself. I can be a kid again. And then they come home and you can feel like it's just everything. The Darth Vader music plays and they come walking in the house and they're already mad as soon as they come in. What is this? Didn't I tell you to? And they point out some flaw, some imperfection. The dishes aren't clean. There's a spot on the floor. Someone's not doing their homework. And that's just a constant thing. They come home angry, they come home bitter, or they have a short fuse. So even if they seem fine right now, in 1 second, they can just blow up at you. So you're walking on eggshells around them, just trying to make sure that you keep everything okay. Children may even learn to just play really quietly just to make sure that they don't disturb the parents, right? And so this can manifest itself later on as making yourself small at work and just doing your work really quietly and staying off to the side and not wanting to speak up in meetings and not wanting to talk to your boss about that raise that you should have gotten and not standing up when they say that you should work extra time and allowing your relationship to become informal and more of like a friendship instead of a a clear professional boundaried relationship and the boundaries get blurred, right? The trap of people pleasing. So analyze for yourself what's keeping you people pleasing. What's keeping you feeling like you can't speak up, you can't say things that other people aren't going to like? What's keeping you stuck? Is it fear of rejection? What are you afraid of? Is it fear of punishment? I mean, you're not a kid anymore, right? So they can't punish you. Maybe in some cases they can in some way. So what's keeping you people pleasing? What's keeping you stuck? A people pleaser is someone who's showing up as inauthentic. And so in their family, in their friend group, at work, they're showing up as inauthentic. So you're putting on the smile. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Right. But that's not how you feel. That's the problem. If you're not feeling that at the moment, then you shouldn't do that because that's inauthentic. And when we're being inauthentic, we're actually lying. So you're going into relationships trying to create a false sense of reality for people. And essentially, you're love bombing and gaslighting. That's what your people pleasing is. No, it doesn't make you a narcissist. You're not a narcissist, but you are love bombing and gaslighting. Own it. Own it. You're being a liar. You're showing up to work, to school, to your relationships, romantic, to your friendships, and you're just yeah, I love it, and that's not how you really feel. So you create a false reality, and this all backfires in your face every time, doesn't it? Because then you hide in your bed for a week because you can't keep it up, or you crash out in these relationships where you feel like I don't know where to go. I'm just going to need to ghost them. I'm just going to need to ghost this person. Why do you need to ghost the person? Because this relationship is too much pressure. Why is it too much pressure? Because they expect me to keep being the person that I've been being. Huh? What's going on? The relationship feels like it's so hard. It's too much pressure because you keep showing up as inauthentic. That takes a lot of work. Keeping that mask fueled takes a lot of energy, literal energy. Like the food you eat puts energy into your body and you're wasting it on a mask. And you're showing up with that mask. You're saying, Here I am, but it's not really you." And then you don't want to show up anymore after a while because you're tired. And then what do you say? "I just can't do relationships anymore. I'm just going to isolate myself. People are just too much." Right? People are asking you to do things. "Can you babysit my kids? Can you take out my dog? Can you take us here?" And you're, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," until you crash out. "Oh my God, I can't anymore. I can't." That's what you say in private, but you don't say it to their face. You just hide. You just hide. You just run away, ghost your relationship, or you snap one day and they don't even get it. And they don't understand why you snapped. You might walk out and slam the door, not even have all your stuff properly packed. You just suddenly decide that you're gone. This is why, because we're living in a trauma response. We had to stop living in a trauma response. Our life would be equally as messed up if we were living in flight, which is just running from everyone all the time. If we're living in freeze, which is just sitting there virtually catatonic all the time. If we're living in fight, just arguing with everyone all the time, we'd have the equal amount of problems. The thing with fun is it made it seem like because you can kind of fake reality for people, it made you feel like it was okay, like I'm all right, because people think you're all right because you're acting kind of like a normal person, just like high in empathy, high in compassion, which is how you really feel, but you're a little over the top with it, but that's fine. I mean, the thing is they can't find what's wrong with you because you're hiding all the things that you think that they would think are wrong with you. You understand? So they don't know what's wrong with you. They don't know that you're suffering, that you're struggling, that you're a trauma survivor, that you cry at night. They don't know that because you're showing up with all of the cheese and right, and then you're going behind closed doors and you're not happy because you're not being real. So how do we heal this? How do we heal it? Because it's all trauma response. No, it's not by going back in your past and remembering the time that your brother, sister did something to you, or your mom did something to you, or you were bullied as a kid. That's not the key to healing. The key to healing the maladaptive response is to learn the adaptive response and live in the adaptive response. We have to learn how to adaptively respond. It's maladaptive to be a people pleaser. This is a liar. This is inauthentic. And it means that any love you receive, you feel like you can't really accept it because that's them loving your mask. And then if they don't like you, you take it personally, but they never really got a chance to know you. So we can't continue to live in people pleasing. It's maladaptive. When I say maladaptive, I mean it doesn't work anymore. It's something that you developed at a time that helped you survive the impossible situation of having a narcissistic mother or father. I understand, but it's maladaptive. It doesn't work any. Excuse me. It doesn't work anymore. As we move forward in life, we have to change the way we act. That's anyone, even if we're not a trauma survivor per se. You always have to change as you grow. You have to evolve. So let this be a moment of growth right now, tonight, on 8/14/2024, 7:18 Central, 8:18 Eastern. Let this be our moment of change. How are we going to do it? Let's just take off the mask. I want you to literally imagine an actual mask that is the people pleasing. It's all the lying, it's all the inauthenticity. I want you to picture pulling it off yourself. Put it on the ground, crunch it up, throw it in the trash bin outside. Picture yourself doing that. No more lies. We're going to be real. Okay, let's keep a couple lies. Let's keep the polite lies, the really polite ones, like when someone says, "Am I fat?" And then you go, I think you look really good. We'll keep that. We'll keep those because we don't want to hurt everyone's feelings. But all the inauthenticity, when it comes to ourselves, talking about ourselves, expressing how we truly feel, no more lies. No more fear. People pleasing is a fear-based activity. The reason we're doing it is because we're afraid. It always comes down to fear. You're afraid. You're afraid of the rejection. You're afraid of the abandonment. You're afraid of the ostracism. You're afraid of getting made fun of. But ironically, you get rejected more, you get abandoned more, you get ostracized more, and you get made fun of more when you're showing up as Sally the servant everywhere you go. Don't be Sally the servant. Don't be Barry the butler. It's not your job to be the servant of all of these people. They're your peers. They are your peers. Time to show up as real. And if they go away from you, then so be it. That's the new attitude. If I show up as real and I lose them, I don't want to lose them, but if I lose them, then so be it. We're going to embrace rejection rather than fear it, because rejection is what actually helps us to have better quality relationships. It's a process of attrition, like you have to lose some to get the best. The best quality comes to the fore, right? Like you picture them sifting gold in the little sifter, and all of the drudge falls out and the gold stays on top. That's how you need to do relationships. What you guys are doing with the people pleasing is you're holding all the sludge. Like, there's some gold in here. What is this? This is a bunch of dirt. Look at this. This is a big clump of dirt. There's some gold in here. you know, you can't. Oh, you have a big clump of dirt, ma'am. That's all you have. So let's not hold on to everyone. It's good to be rejected. It hurts, yeah, but it's good to be rejected sometimes. There is no person in the universe. Let's update our thinking and our belief. There is no person in the universe who's loved by everyone. So stop trying to be loved by everyone. There's no person in the universe that's loved by everyone. No famous person you can name, no person in history, no person in the Bible. There's no person who's loved by everyone. So we update our beliefs. So if there's no person who's loved by everyone, and the people that I admire who are truly good, who are truly righteous, are actually hated by some, they all have enemies, then what can I expect from myself? I will be hated and I'll have enemies. That's fine. That's fine. Embrace it. Embrace it. That's a part of life. When you look at the rejection as a part of life, as something that should happen, and if there's no one who hates you, there's no one who rejects you, you're doing it wrong. And I promise you that's the case. You're living too small and you're being too inauthentic, being too nice. There needs to be people who don't like you, who aren't interested in being your friend. There has to be people like that because that means you're fully embracing authenticity. Authenticity is telling the truth about how you feel and what you like and what you dislike. We do this through the use of boundaries. Boundaries are what? What are boundaries? What are boundaries? I'm waiting on you. Somebody's got this. We've been talking about boundaries this week. Let's see what we got. Fences, not exactly. Rules, yes. Boundaries are rules and limitations that you make for yourself. Linda, thank you very much. She's correct. Boundaries are rules and limitations that you create. Uh, this is very important, guys. Okay, we've been talking about this, but it needs to be memorized. Okay, so write it down, tattoo it on your pinky toe. Okay, we need this. Boundaries are rules and limitations that we create. That's one of the most important things in healing that we have to get down into our head. These rules and limitations that you create include the standards that you set, the requests that you make of people. All of it falls under this umbrella of boundaries. You can make the rule anytime you want because you have the authority. And the way that you enforce the boundary is by removing yourself or your resources. And yes, you can go around creating a bunch of rules and limitations anytime you want. Yeah, mom, I can come over, but I'm only going to be able to come over for 15 minutes. Limitation. Hey, guys, I'll come with you tonight, but we cannot go to the bar on Fifth Street. A rule. Hey, if you guys want to come to my house, you're going to have to bring some food with you. A rule. Hey, you know what? I'm not interested in men that smoke. A standard. These are boundaries. You create them at any time. The guy could be in the middle of smoking, and you could literally at that moment be like, you know what? Sorry to tell you this, but I don't think this is going to work. Setting a boundary. Setting a boundary. Do you always have to say your boundaries out loud? Do you always have to say your boundaries out loud? Anyone know the answer to that? Do you always have to say your boundaries out loud? Who's got the answer? Vincent is correct. Ali is correct. Kay is correct. We do not always have to say our boundaries out loud. No. Sometimes I can skip directly to enforcement, right? So, for instance, I could go over to my girlfriend's house. Let's say she has her own kids, right? So she's single mom, and then I start dating her. Things are getting good. We're having dinner with the kids, and then one of her kids says something smart, and then she gets up, boom, hits her kid, knocks him off the chair. Do I have to say, hey, um, I'm not going to be in a relationship with someone that hits her children? No, I can just decide at that moment, you know what? I'm going to get going. I can leave and I can end the relationship right then and there. Sometimes you'll find that it's appropriate for you to skip directly to the enforcement of the boundaries. Enforcement is where you remove yourself and access to your resources. Depending on the situation, it's not time to talk. Sometimes it's just time to act. You can hang out with a group of friends and they could just be really irritating to you and really immature, and the things they're saying, their jokes are just immature, and just like these people are not advanced, they're not mature, they're not who will go, they're not where I want to be in life. And then what do you do? Authenticity. You can just leave. You can just go home that night at the end of the night and decide you're not going to hang out with them again. You're going to remove access to yourself. You don't have to. There's no law that says you have to tell them, guys, you guys were immature and I just didn't really like your jokes. You don't have to tell people your boundaries. You can just decide it's a rule or a limitation that you create. At any time you just, you know what? I don't like this. At any time you decide that. And you can just leave. Like right now. You can just be listening to this right now and decide, I know what, I don't like this guy. I don't like his mustache. I don't like his message. And you can just leave. In fact, I even encourage that if you're going to leave, please don't tell us that you're leaving. Just leave quietly, which is my boundary. It's me creating a rule. You understand? And this is how it works. We go through life and we have the authority to create rules for the people around us and for ourselves, and they have the ability and the authority to create rules for themselves. And so what happens when there's an inevitable clash? That's a good thing because I'm showing up as authentic and you're showing up as authentic, and then we have a clash, and then you go your separate way and I go my separate way, then we know we're not right for one another. And that's happened. Like even we use this group situation, there's some who have come in, said, I don't like the way he talks. It's not sensitive enough, right? He hasn't created a safe enough environment for me personally. And so they went their separate way. And they or they might have said to me, hey, I think you should create a safer environment. I might have said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do anything more than what I'm doing. I set my limitation. Do you see me expressing my limitations there? That's a boundary. And they set theirs. They said, hey, this is what I want from you. And I said, I'm not willing to give you more. And are either of us wrong? No, it's beautiful. They can say, okay, you know what? Then I'm not going to come to your meetings. And that's okay. That's fine. And then we go our separate ways. And it's actually a good thing. Rather than if I were the people pleaser, then I bend and change until I'm all twisted up and I don't like my life anymore and I don't like my lives anymore, and so then I don't come on anymore, right? Because I've bent up. That's the people pleasing. It doesn't work. It's maladaptive because eventually I'll give up and I'll say, oh, I don't like doing this anymore because I have to do this thing for this one person and I don't like doing it for that. You understand? Or they might have people pleased and said, well, you know what? I'm just going to suffer. And they keep coming, they keep getting offended over and over again, and it doesn't work for them either. Isn't it better when we're just authentic? Authenticity means the way you hold your face. No need to smile if it's not making you smile. I mean, you can be polite, but no need to laugh at jokes that you don't think are funny. Being authentic will save you so much time and energy because you're just being yourself. What you're doing is costing you time and energy by people pleasing. So let's make it a goal to be authentic and let's set boundaries. Again, that doesn't mean you have to express it. You're just deciding at any time that you have a rule or limitation or a standard or something that you set. The reason we express boundaries is because then we're giving the other person the opportunity to exist around us in a way that is less irritating to us. Again, the reason we express the boundaries is out of love. If I'm kind enough to tell you, hey, mute your microphone, that's out of love because I could just remove you from the group, right? And just enforce my boundary. So the reason why usually we're going to express the boundaries, not always, but usually, is because we're just loving. It's out of love because we don't want to cut off access to our resources. So we say to people, hey, take off your shoes when you come in my house. Hey, don't curse around me. Hey, don't yell at my children. Hey, you guys, you tell people what you want them to do. It's an act of love on your part. It's love for yourself and simultaneously love for them. Do you understand how it's loving to them? It's loving to them to tell them what they're doing that's irritating you so that they can stop being an irritation. Does that make sense to you? Because think of how you feel. Don't you want people to tell you, even if it was going to hurt your feelings, don't you want people to tell you what they don't like about you? As long as it's constructive, don't you want people to tell you if you're being irritating? Yeah, we want it. It can hurt. It can hurt. I've had people set boundaries on me. It hurts. Oh, wow. Oh, it's embarrassing. And my friends were just going in on me the other night, telling me how I can change, how I can be nicer at times, right? And it can burn a little bit. It can burn. One of the things that one of the gentlemen said to me, I was at dinner the other night and he gave me a criticism and he used a word and I went home in the dictionary. I'm like, I don't do that. And I went and looked it up in the dictionary. I'm like, ah, that is exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do. He's right. But by them expressing it to me, that's an act of love. Of course, now I know how I can stop showing up in a way that's irritating to them. So I can be more likable, so they can like I want them to like me. And if I don't want to conform to what they want, then I can set a boundary and say, no, I must continue to be the way that I am in this way. And that's fine. And then we're going to split. Does that make sense? So let's go ahead and show up as authentic, be ourselves, be assertive. That's the ability to speak up and express our discomfort, express our needs and our wants, advocate for ourselves. Let's create the boundaries, and at appropriate times, we can express them to other people out of love. And hopefully, they'll be motivated out of love too to respect those boundaries.